Well, hello class. My name is Philip Kraus, and I am going to be your professor for both sections of Introduction to Christianity. And so if you're watching this video, this introduction video and kind of like a syllabus review, this is going to be used for both the in-person hybrid, those who have to meet once a week in class, and also for those who are going to be taking this course online. So the assignments are all going to be the same, and so one video will be able to cover all those, cover the course. And so we're going to spend this time today looking at the syllabus, going over what is expected of you and what is expected of me. And of course, after you watch this video, if you have any questions, please reach out to me by email, which can be found here in the syllabus. But let's jump right in. You have here Introduction to Christianity syllabus. Now notice this is for section 50, which would be the in-person hybrid. But again, the syllabus is, there's only one major change for the online section. And when we get to that, we'll go over it. If you need to ever set up a meeting, I sort of have office hours. I'm online when it comes to my office location, but I'm on campus too. I just don't have an office on campus, and so I can always meet you somewhere, or we can do it online Google Meet, which works great too. And I have set aside Tuesdays from 12:30 to 2. If that doesn't work for you, please let me know. We can find another time. My email address here, this is by far the best way to reach out to me because I have my phone with me majority of the time, or I'm at home working, and so I'll be able to respond to you pretty quickly. For those of you who we're going to be having class together, you're having it in person. Our class location is Deeds 105. It is a large room, and that class time is going to be Mondays from 11 o'clock in the morning till 12:15. And so most of the time our class is going to be running from anywhere from 50 minutes to an hour, and we're not going to be going over like lecture by lecture. We're instead going to take that information that you're going to be learning throughout the week and building on it and going deeper, because there's no point in just repeating what you already know. Let me go over some more things. This syllabus is going to look different. This is kind of the one that I typed up. When you look here, let's see here. If you're looking here at the actual course, let me switch to the student view real quick. And when you switch here to the student view, it'll kind of show you what yours is going to look like. And for example, when you click here on the syllabus, it will show you, okay, it's unable to see it, of course. So we're just going to roll with what we have over here on the left-hand side. If you look here, if you look here on my side of the syllabus, we have this new software, this CourseDog stuff we're using, but this is kind of what you're going to see. It's going to show you the days, the time it starts, where you're going to meet. It's going to have the same information as I have over here in my syllabus. It's just a little bit easier for me to walk through this syllabus. But that being said, here are your course learning outcomes. The goal is to meet all of these outcomes by the time you finish, to be competent in each of these 5. We have 3 books we're going to be using. We're going to be using Tim Keller's The Reason for God. We're going to be using C.S. Lewis' Mere Christianity, and we're going to be using John Stott's Basic Christianity. None of them are really, really large. They are more general education sort of paperbacks, meaning they're not going to be like what you'd normally think of as a textbook, like you would have for chemistry or math or even English, but they are books that we're going to make our way through because each of these books does something really, really well. When you go to purchase these, this is kind of what I would say. Number one, you can get used. That's perfectly fine. You can get paperbacks, even cheaper. Now, for C.S. Lewis' Mere Christianity, you can find this book online. It is old enough that you can put in C.S. Lewis' Mere Christianity open source, and you can find like a PDF version. And so you can do that if you don't want to spend the money on buying a paperback that you might not read after this class, but just trying to save you money, you can do that. But these 3 books, we will be using all of them. So you will need to purchase all of them, or at least check them out of a library and use them. You have 4 main, this is for in-person and online. You have 4 main assignments. Each week, after week 1, you're going to have a reading quiz. The reading quiz is going to have 1 question every single week that asks you if you've completed all of this week's reading. And then the other questions are going to be taken directly from the main points of the reading. So I'm not going to try to dig into a chapter and find a random question. It is going to be based on the main theme of the reading for that week. These quizzes are going to open Thursday afternoon, and they're going to stay open until Sunday at 11:30 p.m., and that's when they're going to close. Interaction papers, you have interaction papers every single week through the 6th week. That last week's going to be reserved for the final exam, but weeks 1 through 6, you're going to have interaction paper. And the idea of this paper is for you to read a section from your books that we're using, and then to write agreement, disagreement, or even further reflection on 1 idea, 2 ideas, 3 ideas. You can write, on a bunch of different ideas, but the whole goal is to show me that you know how to read an idea and interact with it, whether you agree with it or not. And your grade is not going to be based on whether I agree with what you say, but how well you can put into words what you believe about that whatever theme or idea that you take from the reading. This is going to be an assignment where there's going to be 0 AI. We're going to talk about that a little bit later, because it's going to be based on what you believe. And so there should be no use for that. You're going to read something and then give me your opinion on it. And these are going to be 1-page single spaced. So, not a lot. Your big paper is going to be your interview, student interview and paper. And you're going to hear a lot more about that later on in the course, but the big idea about that is you're going to find somebody of a different religion or worldview or belief system, and you are going to interview them. And I'm going to give you 4 questions. There's going to be a sheet that's going to be in your resources day 1 of class that's already going to have, it's going to be the sheet you're going to use, and so you're just going to take that. I'm going to give you 4 questions, the main 4 questions that I believe all people should be able to answer about, like, where did we come from? Is there a God? Those sorts of things. But then you're going to come up with 4 additional questions to ask your person. And then you're going to take all the information that you gather, and then you are going to write a paper about what the person you interviewed, what they believe, and how it is similar or different from what you believe. So again, you still have that sort of interaction. Then you have your final exam, the final week of class, and that's going to be open from Wednesday to Sunday, and you're going to hear a lot more about that. Your course schedule, it's going to look a little different online in your syllabus, but here's kind of the basics of it. In the course schedule, I have written out, I've given you a little reading key to understand which book you're going to be reading from, which chapters based on these codes, rather than having to write it out every time. So for example, week 1, your first lecture is going to be this one that you're watching. And then you're going to have a lecture on what is truth, what is religion, is Christianity, religion, or relationship. And you'll notice beside it in bold, these are the readings. So Bible, Genesis 1 through 3. Reason for God, chapter 3. Reason for God, chapter 1. Reason for God, chapter 11. And so you're going to read these, and they kind of correspond to what you're going to be reading here. What is truth? What is religion? Is Christianity, religion, or relationship? Now, for the sake of your reading quiz, which you can see over here, reading quiz week 2, for the sake of your reading quiz, this is what I'm going to be pulling the questions from. So week 1, you're not going to have a reading quiz because I recognize you may not have your books, but week 2, you can be quizzed on any of this here in bold. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like 7 chapters total you're going to be reading, and they're not very, very long. But this is sort of a schedule that you can kind of keep up with what you are reading and keep up with the ideas that we're going to be talking about in class. If you are, here's where the main difference is between in-person classes, in-person student, and online student. Is the in-person students, here is what we're going to be talking about each time we gather. Truth, Religion, Christianity, week 1, why morality or right or wrong is important, why we need a God, that sort of thing, all right? For those of you who are online, you of course are not going to be meeting with me online, but you are going to have a discussion forum. So let me show you. You're going to have a discussion forum each week. Now, it is not graded, okay? So as you look right here in the syllabus, there's only 4 assignments. But for those of you who are online, in order to pass this class, you have to have a participation aspect to show that you are following along, you're watching the lectures, and you are participating. And so with that, you are going to come over here to your discussion forum. You'll click on discussion forum, and you notice here week 1, week 2, week 3, all the way through week 7. So every week, you're going to click in here. By the beginning of class, I'm going to have a question or questions that relate to the main ideas of the lectures. And then by Friday, you are going to write a post sharing your beliefs about that, and then you're going to go back and you're going to interact with 2 to 3 of your fellow students and what they say. And it has to be some sort of substantial. You just can't say, "Hey, I agree." You will not get credit for that, and that sort of technically counts as an absence. And again, if you do not take part in the discussion forum, then you will not be able to pass this course. And so make sure that you keep up with the discussion forum each week. It's not for a grade, but it's for the participation aspect of the course. So this is kind of what we're covering in class. You can see, follow along here on the syllabus, and we're going to be talking a lot about who Jesus is and why he is the center of Christianity, the cross, the resurrection, the Bible, church, heaven and hell. So a lot of different topics we're going to be reading about and talking about in the lectures. For the sake of grading, you can see here what each thing is worth, each assignment, 25%, 30%. For those of you who are in person, there's going to be an attendance sheet that you can sign in. Make sure you do that so you get credit and you don't get penalized for that. All students in both sections, in person and online, are required to attend or participate through the discussion forum. Course specific policies. Make sure that you communicate with me early and often, especially if you get sick, if you have to go home, if you're an online student, or if you're an in-person student and you can't make, missing class week 2, 3, and 4 and not communicating with me till week 7, it will be too late by then and you'll end up having to take this course again. So make sure you communicate and we can work together to make sure that you fulfill all the requirements of the course. If for some reason you turn in something late, it happens to everybody. There's certainly going to be grace, but if it continues to happen, then there's going to be a penalization of your assignment that you turn in late. Let's talk about AI. You're going to be receiving there's going to be a post later on in your announcements. And you can find your announcements here. If you see right here, news and announcements. When you click on that, starting next week at the beginning of the first week of class, you're going to have a lot of announcements from me explaining assignments, that sort of thing. And one of them's going to be on artificial intelligence. We believe artificial intelligence, AI, is a great tool to be used. In this class, you are not going to be able to use it much because a lot of this is just going to be thinking for yourself based on what you read. So you're not going to need to, use AI. And with each assignment, there will be a level of AI that I will share with you that you can use. But make sure that you are using it in the right way if you do use it, not just for this course, but any course, so that you do not get in trouble. Checking grammar and things like that, style, tone, those are good uses of it. Brainstorming, especially for other classes where you have a research paper. But when you use it to write entire things or take from one source and run it through AI or whatever. When the software shows us that, there could possibly be trouble. So be wise about that. Academic integrity, make sure that you are doing your own work. And so if you have any questions, please feel to reach out to me at any time. If for some reason I'm not getting back with you as quickly as needed, please do not hesitate to reach out again. I have, I have 2 different classes going on, 4 separate classes when you count in person and online. There's going to be a lot of different students and emails. And I want to make sure that I pay your email, your question, the attention that it deserves. And so please feel free to continue reaching out to me. And if you have any questions, even before class starts, please don't hesitate to reach out, and look forward to meeting you. Those of you who are going to be in person, and for those of you who are online, look forward to interacting with you as much as possible. Take care. God bless.